Hey y'all, welcome back to the Brown Heart Wellness Podcast. I'm Samantha Edu, licensed therapist, certified coach, and your partner in choosing brave living. This week's episode is so special because it is landing in the middle of a very, very brave season for me, personally, professionally, spiritually, and y'all gonna hear all the things. A few weeks ago, I went to the Woman Evolve conference, and then just one weekend later, I went to the podcast summit. It was two very different rooms, but they had one thing in common. Courage was the currency, and freedom was the outcome. At Woman Evolve, I felt like I was receiving, I was poured into. And yes, I did pour into others that were near me, but I just felt like I was poured into and I needed it so bad. It reminded me that my calling does not mean constant output. At the podcast summit, I stepped into a space where creators boldly claimed their voice and their vision, even when the path wasn't perfectly clear. It was a perfect mixture of motivation and practicality. But somewhere between those two experiences, I started asking my favorite question that y'all hear all the time. In this season, what does bravery mean to you? And what is your one brave thing for the week? Today, I'm going to share some of the powerful answers that I received to the question. I'm going to talk about why the rooms we step into matter. And because y'all know I'm all about action, I want to let you in on something that I'm kicking off that can help you find your own next brave step. First, we're going to start with a Brown Heart affirmation. I am worthy of rooms that challenge me, inspire me, and reflect back my own capacity for courage. I show up fully even when my voice trembles, okay? Even my voice is always trembling. But you got to say it anyway. You got to say it anyway. All right, y'all. Listen, we're going to start with Woman Evolve. Walking in the Woman Evolve, my friend has been asking me, like, how are you explaining this to people? I don't know. I don't know how to put it, but it was kind of like, you know how when we all get together and we are all color coordinated? We weren't color coordinated, but it felt like that. It felt like we were all in one place, everyone showing up with our hearts open, prepared, full hearts, ready for the sisterhood. We prayed together. We cried together. We were sitting there taking notes at some points, like, let me get this information. Leading up to the conference, I was praying fervently. You know, I had just went through a really rough period, and I was praying fervently, and I went in with determination. Like, I was very much giving Denzel Washington, I'm leaving here with something, okay? I'm falling at the feet. I'm leaving here with something. And you cannot tell me I didn't leave with something, babes. I mean, it was such an amazing experience, such a spiritual awakening. It was all of the things. Then came the podcast summit. Now, before the podcast summit, I was like, oh man, you know, I just went to Woman Evolve. They're not going to be able to live up. This is not going to be the same. And although it was a different energy, it was still like that same undercurrent of courage, belief, spirituality. Because when I tell you, E.T. the preacher came in there preaching, it was some preaching going on. So it was just what I needed. It was the perfect segue from Woman Evolve into the podcast summit. These were the people there at the podcast summit were people who know the risk of putting your voice out into the world. They know the vulnerability of showing up consistently and how much resilience it takes to keep going when you don't know who's listening. You don't know what they think about it. You don't know what your job think about it. You don't know, but you have to keep showing up. So here's one of the things that clicked for me. How we experience bravery is very seasonal, right? Sometimes bravery is speaking up. Sometimes is allowing yourself to be poured into. And then sometimes it's just staying in the room long enough to see what unfolds, what's going to happen. One of the brave things I challenged myself to do was grab my mini mics, my phone, and start interviewing people at the conference. And I was asking them the question, y'all know the question, say it with me. What does bravery mean to you? And what's been your one brave thing this week? The night before, I was with Patrice. And hey, Patrice, I was with Patrice. She was going with me to the conference. And the night before, I almost talked myself out of doing it because I was like, oh, I need the big selfie stick. I need the lights. I need my back camera thingy, all the gear. But my spirit said, no, keep it simple. Keep it simple. Just do the thing. Because once I started thinking I needed all that stuff, it was going to be real easy for me to say, no, I don't need to do it. But that morning, I told my daughters what I plan to do. Before getting on the bus, Jalen said, Mommy, I want to know that you ask the people those questions when I get home. Y'all, if didn't nothing fire me up, that did. I was going to ask those questions. So I set a small goal, which was to ask 5 women the question. And guess what? On the 5th person, my phone died. And that interview is the one that had me crying in my car. So I believe that that interview was probably just for me to hear and just to take in that there are women out here who need this message. It was beautiful. So I'm going to share some of these messages with you all today. And I hope that it challenges you to define what bravery means to you. And also share with me in the comments what's your one brave thing this week. I am with
Stephanie or Katie.
Hey Stephanie. I'm asking people, what does bravery mean to you? And what is your one brave thing this week?
Well, one great thing this week is that I made it to Podcast Summit despite my life circumstance.
Amen.
I just moved. It was not financially feasible. I was able to come down here and see my family. Fully any possible, right? I said to see my family and, connect with people like you. And go on my podcast.
Yes.
And master my craft.
All right, what's your podcast?
The Mind Your Business Mentor.
All right, here's the next one. Hey y'all, I am here with Leanne. Hey Leanne. I'm asking people, what does bravery mean to you?
Bravery means to me that basically you're stepping out of your comfort zone. You're being your first foot forward. You're being your best self. Basically, somebody you want to be behind the closed doors that you're afraid to be in front of other people.
Yes. Okay, and what is your one brave thing you're doing this week?
One brave thing I'm doing this week is stepping out of my comfort zone, talking to new people, and trying not to say no and experiencing new things this week.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
All right, y'all. So hearing these reminded me that not everyone has considered what bravery means to them. And I do have 2 more, but you have to find them on my socials. And that bravery isn't always big, grand, public, everybody knows. Sometimes it's those quiet challenges, those personal, deeply intentional things that you do to better yourself, your situation. I had chills seeing this come to life. It put a fire in me to just stretch myself, to rest myself, and shower myself with gratitude about having this vision and being brave enough to roll it out, you know? Now, this episode is brought to you by me. That's something else I learned at the podcast. Brown Heart Wellness is hosting the Brave on Purpose Instagram Live mini teaching series. It's 4 days, 4 steps designed to help you find and act on your next brave thing. We're going to start on Sunday, August 18th, and each day I'm walking you through one step of my root framework. This is the same framework at the heart of my One Brave Thing group coaching program. Day one is all about reflecting. We're talking about positionality, where you stand, how your experiences shape you, and how to use that awareness to step forward with intention. Then each day we'll build, going to the open, then to the overcome, and then we're going to celebrate. You know what I'm saying? We're going to thrive. These lives aren't just for inspiration. They're your runway into the One Brave Thing group coaching program, where we take your brave ideas and turn them into lived reality. And because you're a podcast listener, you get early access at a special rate through the link in the show notes. So if you're ready to move from thinking about bravery to actually living it, grab your free root reflection guide and I will see you at the live on Instagram August 18th at 7 p.m. Eastern. All right, y'all. We have talked about a lot of things. Listen, when I tell you God took my edges and dragged me back and forth, but also showed me what things could be. And then I went to that podcast summit and it gathered me even more. And then I started talking to community and people. Listen, put yourselves in the room. Put yourselves in the room. I am in a season to where I have to it's all about positionality. That is the word that came to me at Woman's Evolve. I walked away with the word positionality. And I'm going to tell you something before I get into the brown heart moment. When we were there was a situation that happened. I'm not even gonna go all up into it. Oh my goodness. But they were giving away these fans and the people were trying to get the fans. Anyways, in the midst of this, I found myself in the middle of a crowd and could not get out of the crowd. And I feel myself like I had no control to go left, right, front, or back. And I don't do well in those situations. I need to get out. So I found myself panicking, completely panicking. Finally, I was able to get in and sit on the couch. And my friends called me, and I'm like, I could hear their voices. I knew they were somewhere in the vicinity. And so I started to calm down. And I met this beautiful woman beside me. She said, "Can I give you a hug?" Absolutely. And so she started to talk to me. And as she started to talk to me, the panic started to calm down and everything. And after that, I was ready to go. When I started to journal about that later, I prayed about like, what did that mean for me? Outside of I don't like them type of situations and don't find myself in them again if I can help it. But I started journaling and asking, what did that situation mean for me? And what it meant for me was this idea of being put in a place, right? Knowing I'm covered because my friends were there and they were going to come and get me. Like I was going to be okay. But I was put in a situation where I needed to release the outcome. I needed to release the idea that I had to have control over every single thing and know that it was being okay. It was going to be okay. And know that I was being put in position, right? I was being put in position to be right where I needed to be. And that's what happened. I was being put in position to be right where I needed to be to meet this young woman. And once I had that revelation, I was done. I was so good for the rest of the weekend. I didn't even think about that. It didn't even hurt. Like there was no leftover angst. None of it. Once I realized this is about positionality. And so this brave season is about positioning yourself for what you need in this season. And sometimes that's positioning yourself for the pause, positioning yourself for your next brave step, your next job, your next relationship, your next book, your next business that you're starting, your next child, whatever the thing is. But it is about how are you intentionally positioning yourself or being positioned to do the thing that you're called to do. All right. So we're going to go into our brown heart moment. We're going to go into our brown heart moment. Close your eyes If you're feeling comfortable doing so, y'all already know if you're driving, don't do it. Noticing your breath. Noticing your breath. How you are feeling in this moment. How are you feeling? Are you okay? I hope you know you're loved, you're cared for. Inhale deeply through your nose. Hold and exhale through your mouth. Picture yourself in a room where you feel safe, seen, inspired. What does it look like? What does that room look like? What color's in there? What kind of furniture? Any furniture? Is it all white? What feels safe and seen? What feels inspiring? I want you to say to yourself after your next breath, I belong in rooms that call me to go higher. I bring courage with me wherever I go. I belong in rooms that call me to go higher. I bring courage with me wherever I go. Take another deep breath with me. Y'all, this season, y'all gonna see me. Thank you for letting me bring these moments to you. Whether it is on the podcast, in a conference hall where it's very loud as you could hear, on an IG live, remember, courage is both a solo act, but it's also a very shared journey. If you haven't already done so, download the Root Reflection Guide and join me live starting August 18th. And if you're already ready to take your bravery to the next level, you can use the special link in the show notes to join the One Brave Thing group coaching program at a special rate. But until next time, stay brave, stay rested, and keep showing up for your own growth. All right, y'all. Be brave.